Right, my name is Edison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. Now, we are here specifically to talk about woman abuse, the abuse of women, and to get to the genesis of it all. And we know that these are actions that should be shunned in any parts of society, whether it be a group, a religious set, anyone. These actions should be shunned all the way around. And now today we have a special guest on the line, Ms. Carrie-Ann John from the First Wave Movement. Now in talking to her, I don't know, because I didn't see what it take place behind the scene. This is actually the second take. We had a discussion before, and I hope that this time it ended up the same way. It was very fruitful. Ms. Carrie, the floor is all yours.
Okay, so thanks for having me, Brennan, and I express that this is a very good initiative to highlight the concerns as it relates to women and the protection of women and the safety of women. And as you said, this genesis of the matter means looking at the cause and not just the effect. Because everything starts somewhere. And when they talk about human behavior and they talk about societal issues, it cannot be discussed about being as in a vacuum. We have to look at all the surrounding precluding circumstances that will impact on the life of individuals. And for the most part, as the old people said, charity begins at home and it ends abroad. So we're looking at the socialization of young men and young women, which is more or less the root cause of the problems that we are faced with in terms of the abuse of women, whether it be in relationships, in the workplace, or on the street. We are in a culture where, for the most part, unfortunately, and as it relates to the persons of African descent, where a great deal of young men are raised in homes where there are no fathers. And if there are fathers, in some cases, not all, kudos to the men who are good fathers, but in some cases there are men who are present in their lives but are not healthy male role models, not healthy fathers. And as a result, a lot of the young men face with a lot of internal issues. And for the most part, they are not helped. And for the most part in our culture, therapy is not something that is promoted as the norm. So people, there's a sort of stigma and a taboo around therapy. So many people are not seeking out therapy because it sounds like something, especially among us black people, that white people do. It's not a black thing. And it looks like if you're mad and only mad people just have to get counseling. And, we treat therapy and counseling as something that is not for us. And it is really for us. It is really for us because when you look at the history of our people, the trauma from our ancestries that have been handed down, we need healing. We need healing. So the therapy is important. But for the most part, our young men are not accessing therapy or in some cases not seeking it out. So they have bottled up issues, a lot of skeletons in their closets, and poor cultivation that leads to them now not being able to communicate or to express themselves in a healthy way to the women in their life. And I said something earlier in the conversation we're having, and it sounded a bit dread, but reality of the matter is a lot of men, most of our men don't know what to do with a woman in a relationship with a woman. Most of our men, I dare say. Alright? When it comes to some communication, and I will go all the way down to even sexual interaction, a lot of men don't know what to do with women. And we have to talk about it openly and not just talk about the issue, but look for resolution, look for solutions so that it could be addressed, so that, you know, women could get a ease up, so to speak. You know, so women can get a ease up. I believe most women, even women who might portray themselves as not necessarily wanting a man or needing a man, I think they actually do. But what they don't know is the soul version of men. I think they want the real deal. And it's a challenge because of the poor socialization and poor cultivation of women. Right? So, going to the home, let's look at the single parent home, which is a root cause of many of the issues. And we talk about abuse, when we talk about the plight, you know, of our men. Be it that they are relational issues, be it that they are problems with the law and so on. It has a lot, the family circle, that village have a big part to play with who they become, whether we like it or not. And for the most part, we have single mothers raising men. And the truth of it, the matter is, no single woman could truly raise a man. You could do your best as a mother, but when I say a man, I'm talking about a balanced man. You could do your very best as a mother, not a fight down single mothers, don't get me wrong, because in some cases they have no choice. Based on the man who is the father of the child, they may have no choice and they need to do their very best to raise that child as best they could. Nevertheless, as a woman, there's only so much you can do in terms of raising a man, because there are certain things only a man can demonstrate as a coming man. Period.
And to balance out the conversation, and it's vice versa, you know, because there are limitations to what a man could do in raising a child. That is why the structure really and truly supposed to be male and female. You understand? Now, you would have been stressing on the factor with the woman, and there are certain women that believe that they could do it all, and I am saying that is a wrong model. And there are certain men that feel they could do it all too, and that is also a wrong model, because you don't want a child too hard, and especially I talk in general, you don't want them too soft. You want them to have this perfect balance between the two sets. And you know, I know I would have skipped through the introduction, but what would have spurred this conversation was an issue that would have taken place on a job site, where it is one individual would have been verbally abusing a female, and you know, the people that ought to speak out, that have the authority to speak out on the matter, they remain silent. Now I'm pulling the talks from the previous conversation carried concerning the fact that there may be certain people that may really be afraid of speaking out. There is instances where the abuser, the person that is denigrating women, that is abusing them in that way, physically, mentally, emotionally, and there are people on the sideline that observing this whole story taking place, and they are afraid to come in and say anything about it, because they too is afraid of the abuser. Now, as before, you would have told this wonderful story, Miss Carrie, and I don't know if you remember it. I mean, you say it happened here with a little issue.
Yeah, I remember. So I was in a situation where myself and a friend had a problem with the vehicle, and it would have happened in Movie Town compound. And there was a security officer who came and was somewhat friendly. He said hello and stuff. And at that point, I decided to share my experience in terms of what was happening with the car. And it was reported that there was a problem with the starter, so we were trying to get a wire to see if we could ground the wire with the starter. And in reaching out to the security officer, I was expecting that he might have been of some help. Without showing much interest in helping the actual situation, he started sharing some experiences with me where he was more or less giving testimonies of God's goodness to him. And he was sharing how much good things he has encountered because of the goodness of God. And I want to make sure I put context to this because I'm a believer in God Almighty unapologetically, but I'm showing here that how sometimes the problem stems from a religious type mindset. That's what I'm getting at here, right? And it's part of the problem. So he shared all his good stories with me, but when he was finished, I was still in my situation. So I turned to him and I asked him if God is only good to him and nobody else, because I realized he was not trying to meet all the same goodness that he encountered in other experiences. To me, there was no effort I found that he was making to assist my situation. Nevertheless, it's not that he had to help me, but I recognized this man is here chatting me up when I could be looking for assistance, and he isn't really trying to help me. Anyway, I decided to shift the issue from my issue to the issue of the security sector, at least within his company, because of the fact that we have been working with security officers and highlighting the issues that security officers have to deal with. So I turned to him and I asked him, what is his experience like working with that security company? And he shared that his experience isn't too bad, and he would have gotten some forwards, and apparently some of the persons in senior positions seem to take a liking to him, right? Which is relatively anecdotal. So it seems like it's not a universal thing, and they have a particular liking to this particular security. I decided to ask him what is the experience like for the women within the company. And, he was sharing with me that a number of women have had complaints about their experience and so on. And there was a young lady who was even being sexually abused by a particular superior. So I asked him, and what did you do about it? What did you do? Did you say anything? Did you do anything? And there was gruff silence after my question. And why did I share the story about him talking about his testimony? I shared that to say, even men who grew up in churches, who believe in God, who want to share the goodness of God, when there are situations where they are supposed to step in, apparently they don't have the testicular fortitude to do so. And there's a reason for that. As you said, men and women need a healthy balance of strength and gentleness. And if you only grow up seeing a certain amount of gentleness, where you as a man don't even know how to use your masculine strength in the right way, chances are you're going to be afraid of other men, because really and truly your psyche is functioning like a female. And this is something a lot of people don't take knowledge to. If you grew up with a woman and you have not been protected by a man, where you as a boy learn how see your father protecting your mother, see your father protecting your household, you don't know how to protect. And then I was sharing another little story about a little boy, and I'm always going to go back to childhood and how children come up, because that's the foundation of the system. I was sharing a story about a little boy who I encountered in the St. James area at a KFC. Went into the KFC. This was, as I said, around lockdown time, and we had curfew. So KFC was open, I think, until 9, and I think the time to get in would have been about 10 or something. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember the actual time, but whatever it is, it would have been an hour before the time everybody was supposed to be inside. So it was night. So I came out the vehicle, I went into KFC to buy this portion of fries. And this little boy of African descent came in to KFC. And I now would have been looking to see if a guardian or parent would have been coming in with him or behind him or outside waiting for him. And I recognized he was alone. And this child had to be around 8 years old. A very young child of African descent. And this showed me right there and then that this child is not being protected. Right? Whereas in a healthy situation, father was supposed to be present with him, or at least outside waiting for him. And I have never said, I can tell you, I've never seen anybody, any child of any other ethnicity in Trinidad and Tobago outside that hour without parental supervision. So there is a certain amount of neglect taking place with little African boys. And as a result, they don't know how to be protective of anybody, hardly even their own self. And they have strength. Every man is given a certain amount of strength by God, upper body strength and so on. So what you're going to do with that strength if you don't know how to use that strength in the right way? Oftentimes, because you have internal issues and you have this strength and you don't know what to do with it, you will find yourself using the strength on the wrong set of people, and chances are it's women. Because for the most part, you might feel as you may be intimidated by other men who you know are strong. So you'll find yourself now probably preying on people who you believe weaker than you. And that's one of the challenges in our culture. If the boys are not protected or protection is not demonstrated to them, how can they be protected? And if you look at what's happening in some of the more depressed communities, the boys know they're supposed to be protectors, but they don't know how to even effectively protect. They have the protection, but don't have the gentleness. That's the reason why the first thing they may choose to do, because again, they have internal issues and they have artillery. They may decide to use their emotions when they have issues instead of dealing with their emotions in a healthy way. Their first option is to kill somebody, shoot somebody. Mm-hmm. Right? People ask the question, why do young women find themselves with some bad man? It's a question that comes up often. Look how much decent young men have out there. Why choose these bad men? And as a woman, I tell them you have to look at the big picture. A woman naturally wants to feel protected by her man. That is a natural thing. You want to feel protected by, and you want to feel provided for as a woman, regardless of what your station is in life. Mm-hmm. Right? And if a young man appears to be protective, a woman will gravitate to him. If he seems to be willing to take care of you, a woman will naturally gravitate to him, because the way we are built is to feel secure. We are in our elements when we feel secure. If you now decide to go with a fellow who seems to be not any bad man lifestyle, but carrying himself more in a kind of effeminate way, where he does not appear like he has any kind of strength to protect you in a situation, you will feel to some extent that you're moving with the next female.
Now,
because
you're going into
between him and you.
You're going into a deep discussion there. What you're talking about is that these females and them that does rush to the bad boy sector is because they are seeing something that is innate. You would have talked about something that are called the instinct in the prior conversation, that they're drawn to, that they know what they're looking for, because they have this thing inside of them to detect or to see this strong man. So when they see this strong bad boy figure, it's like if they have this pull towards them, but not.
Correct. And especially if they grow up being unprotected as well, because remember they function in a deranged way as well. Mm-hmm. Because the ideal is not the bad boy either. However, they might be moving from one extreme to another because they too have internal issues. So if you grew up in an environment where you were not feeling protected or provided for, within yourself you feel that there was a dire lack, and you keep looking for something that your father should have provided, and you should be very much familiar with it, but it was missing. Mm-hmm. So you're looking for it, and you might be this might be a kind of skewed version of what you're looking for, but it's looking close to what you think you desire. So you gravitate towards that and find yourself sometimes in some other problem. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So the extremes is not good on either side. You don't want young men who is functioning effeminate, and you don't want young men who do not know how to use their strength in a healthy manner. Mm-hmm. Those are two different extremes. But when the two healthy parents or two healthy role models are not present, the demonstration is not there for the boy or for the girl. Mm-hmm. So you find now that everybody's gravitating toward extreme because they've never even sought out information on what is the actual balance that they were missing. And that's why we have all this abuse going on. So the next thing is a fella might have a father present, because this is another issue, another extreme. You may have a father present, but he might be an abuser. He might be beating on your mom. He might be by a bar right through drinking and drunk and doing crazy things. Alright? Or he might have a communication problem. So instead of communicating in a healthy way, his ways of communicating is unhealthy. And that is just as bad as an absent father.
Yeah.
Because you're not being a healthy man. And therefore now you come up as a young fella, knowing how bad you felt by your father's behavior. But because that's the model you see, you might find yourself doing the very thing that was disgusting you as a child. If you look at a lot of the young men who have a history of beating on women, look back into their history a little bit and you realize that they grew up seeing some man beating their mother, beating somebody. And as a result, they don't know how to express themselves and they think that is an option. And then in some cases, young girls grow up seeing their mother being beaten, but the mother stayed. And they believe too they should stick around because sometimes they may have children and they feel as staying for the children. In some cases, they lose their life. And that is just from the issue as the abuse within families. But the abuse doesn't stop there. It transcends into the employment arena. Because an abuser will be an abuser. They wouldn't necessarily pick and choose for every place they go in and abuse. Once they get the opportunity to abuse, they go into abuse. And it could be psychologically, it could be sexually, it could be physically. So we have some young children who feel deprived. Again, going back to the childhood. And I spoke about like the serial killers. When you look back into it and listen to their story, many of them were bullied. And they felt like they were less privileged compared to other children, and then they believe now they have to come back and take revenge. That is the serial killing is an extreme way of doing it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is the only bad way to have done it, right? So they come out like serial abusers, but in other ways. So you didn't feel like you were valued as a youth. You didn't feel like you were loved as a youth. You felt like maybe as a young man you done went through some amount of abuse already, and you saw a young lady that you like and she didn't like you back. So you come up now, you might have some education, you get a position in a company, and you think, oh, this is my time to get a revenge. Now I can get any female I want. They have to do what I want them to do because I can make them lose the job if they don't. And you give it to your reasoning, just like the serial killer to some extent, because you are psychotic. But who taking the time to observe that? Because we have so many men in the culture who have a similar mindset that the other men within the organization may not even be seeing that man as necessarily doing something wrong because they themselves are abusive. If not, they themselves, they are afraid of the man. The strength I see some men come out to try to deal with women in our culture, it's amazing to me how they just be so scared when it's time to deal with our next man.
And they know when they say that Carrie Ann, this thing I mean is eminent, because if it is, yet we talk about the softness. If some of them, and I really believe certain men have communication problems in it. I believe that is about, well, I don't want to quantify it, but it appears to be half of it. Because there are certain people, and I just watch. From the time you say, just repeat yourself, I understand what you say there. When you watch their countenance, the countenance change.
They look very offended, like they shouldn't have to say over something. Because like it took so much work to say it the first time.
And you just see them mad, like if, it could reach to blows. But it coming back to the issue is that, according to what you're saying, it has certain men have so much rage to deal with women. But when dealing with a next man, when they meet a next man face off, some of them just bend their head and go. And I believe in this is a coping method for certain men. When certain men know that, you know, within the self, because come on, let's be real, it's a men that know the weak. Whether it might be on a social level, a communicative level, and there was the suffering from this kind of thing that we call defeatism. So when they see another man, they see competition. And when they see a female, they see something that, hey, I could crush. So they're unable to compete with a man himself. So they always look at a female as something inferior. So they see them as something to fight down. So if they open them out and they probably have a opposing comment towards them, they just go on violent. And when they get away, I mean, I'm talking about specifically in the workplace. Now, if you find that within a relationship structure, they just resort to even trying to be the woman. And well, in some cases, I don't want to say it because it's not something, because I had a family member that went through this with men already. And when you deal with them, when you know when they come, big argument on the phone and thing, you know when they reach them, the soft like alarm. Sometimes I'm asking them, they're not the same man that you said that now last year. And she like, yeah, look my skin. I still let me see because I ain't believe still in her. When I see the man, I still see the man. I say, hey, you lash this girl. Well, if she do what I say, I just want to ask you. You don't believe it because that is not some of the times that not mean towards you as a man. And carry on. Where I just say about the fact that you know there are people that ain't saying nothing about when they see abuse taking place.
Right. So we are in a culture, again, going back to childhood. You grew up hearing, again, a defeatist kind of education, in a defeatist education system, where the strength of a people is not taught in school. As what they teach you is you came from slavery, and they make your ancestors appear to be weak and a people who couldn't fight back and didn't struggle for justice. So you come up in that culture where you feel like everything that is happening is a privilege, and you know you don't deserve it. So when you do get opportunities, you don't want to lose those opportunities at all. And we are also in a victim type culture where people what I want to say, if you speak out, you are victimized, is what I want to say. Oh. So a lot of people are holding on to little opportunities for their life as if there's no other option at all. And therefore, speaking out means I could lose my job, I could be victimized, and so let me just stay quiet, which is a very, very, very defeated place to be in, because it means you really don't believe that. And interesting enough, we are in a highly religious culture. So if religion is part of our culture, then faith is supposed to be a part of our culture, and faith in the Most High is supposed to be a part of who we are. And therefore, if we lose one opportunity, we're supposed to believe if we lose it for the right reasons, we will get more opportunity. But for the most part, people don't actually have faith. Everything is about a physical thing that is in front of them, and a small opportunity that is in front of them. So that is why people tend to be quiet on issues that they should be very outspoken about. Also, if you're speaking out and you don't believe you're going to get the support of others, you may feel like, what is the point of speaking out? It will be me alone to standing up. Not everybody have that fortitude and that strength in our culture, again, because if you don't come up in a home where you see a strong parents with faith, that spirituality that's really supposed to come with parenting. And like I said, a man's supposed to be someone like the priest of his household, leading his family to God and you know, and teaching faith. And a lot of the men in our culture, they don't even have faith. If we look closely at especially the Christianity, you go to many churches, when their prayer meetings is mostly women, you're going to find there. You're not finding men there. A lot of them, and a lot of the women, they're praying for the men who are not there. So it's something I've observed as a child. All these women here was praying for these men. Why these men not somewhere also praying the women,
Yeah.
you know, and that says something. And interestingly enough, the men now who are in the churches, and not just the churches, the mosques, the temples, to some great extent, a chauvinism is a big thing, male dictatorship is a big thing. There's a lot of scriptures that are being misconstrued within Christian groups. We hear that the man is the head of the home, but it's never, the context is never given to that teaching. So because so many of the men are already accustomed to a culture of abuse, they think headship means being overly forbearing and dictatorial and controlling and abusive. And therefore a lot of women have even come to hate in our generation, my generation. A lot of the younger women have come to hate the term submission, because when they think about submitting to these kind of characters, you cannot be serious. You cannot expect me to. You cannot be serious. Now I always tell women, you have a say in who you submitting to. Hence the reason we should be very peculiar about who we choosing to have long-term intimate type relationships with. We have a choice. Nobody hitting us a club in the head and dragging us in a cave. So we could look at a man and really stifle him out and say, okay, he has the qualities for the future. But many women, again, are poorly cultivated. It's not just the boys. Only thought that, you know, they are socialized in a very emotional way, where emotional intelligence is not promoted. And a lot of our women only operate from a place of emotionalism. So if you're not functioning with logic and it's only emotions, and somebody make you feel a type of way, you run off until maybe you have children, you realize, oh my God, I bumped my head. But our girls also need to be socialized to be able to logically determine who is their partner, life partner. Do not just operate on feelings and emotions, because those things will change. Right? And a lot of females ending up with a lot of characters because, again, we in a culture where make some women feel if you don't have a man, you know something wrong with you.
Now concerning the factor with the Christian side, where you was talking about with men as the head of the home, and I only saying this just in a little defense. The mere factor that back then that women was most of them, they didn't used to teach women a matter of fact. So men at that point in time, if you was to place it within the context of the thing, at that point in time, men was more outside on the field where they was studying and thing, and women was left to do certain things. So in terms of the context at the time, now it becomes so broad that men and women at this point in time going to school, and some of the times the woman does have the more better idea. So that thing in which you're talking about within the Bible, that woman should be obedient, I believe that that's supposed to be more. I mean, we're supposed to think about that, because sometimes, alright, let me say just a hypothetical. There are certain doctors, head doctors, that is women, and there are others that is men in the same particular craft. So what you are saying then to the people that are little obstinate, what you are saying then in that case, we should still listen to the man who don't have the expertise and the experience within it. Times would have changed from then to now. And I believe at this point in time, discussions, it's supposed to be having a more open family, seeing that men and women in company, the same space in terms of way education is concerned, in terms of where the job site is concerned, and in the house. Although women is normal nurturers, I mean, oh God, anytime I think about something nice, I just think about my mother. But at the same time, the context at the time must be applied to a statement like that, in a nutshell, concerning the thing with the Bible. I believe at this point in time, I mean that should be revise. I don't want to say something to put my foot in my mouth, but think about the concept of the time when you're trying to apply a statement like that, especially some of these fanatics and them. I know Oye does look at the Bible at a T, but think first. Think first. And there's a fallacy that argumentum ad antiquitatem. That is using the fallacy of we are accustomed to do something and this is how it should be done. And they're not putting into practice that, all right, what was good back then, we are seeing women topping everything in terms of where academia is concerned. So that is something that should be revised to a certain degree. And that is my 2 cents on that.
I hear you, but I want to respectfully, with the greatest respect, I want to disagree with you. To some extent, and I will definitely make sure and explain myself here. Right? As a woman, and you have a little background, a little bit of me, you know, a little bit of me. I am a woman. I know to myself that I'm a force to reckon with. At the same time, I expect my man to be a force to reckon with. And in context, where that headship is, and that's why I said context is a very important thing. So I want to say 2 things. One, I want to say, the Most High is the Most High right through. And you see the idea of changing key structure is a very dangerous thing. We have other groups of people trying to change and add and subtract things that are very, very holy and cannot be changed. And this is one thing that I believe cannot be changed. However, in context, I guess what you are trying to say. You are trying to say that women should be respected in a leadership role. I get that. However, it does not, if a woman is getting with a man who's supposed to be a healthy man, a healthy leader knows when to follow.
Yeah.
So he will not be trying to be dictatorial regardless of what her station is in life. Even a woman who does not have the world of education should be respected by her man. But what we have to understand is organizational structure to have this conversation. If we work with a company and your area is finance and my area is hospitality, we are leaders in our own right. You are leading in finance and I'm leading in hospitality. And therefore, when the conversation of finances come up, I have to listen to you because you be the expert on that. And when it comes to hospitality, that's my area.
So we're saying then you're talking in terms relative to context, in terms of leader, because you say something that's very instrumental. Sometimes a leader has to know when to follow. Positive
yes,
conversation.
A healthy man will know when to listen. He will listen to his woman. A healthy man will listen to his woman. He will take her opinions into account.
Well, Miss Carrie-Ann, I asked you this here now on live TV. Now, this conversation, as I say, you would have surprised me concerning some of the things that, you know, that coming from you. And it never stopped. We carrying on this conversation here and it's like if, you know, certain things still unfolded.
Yes, this is not a conversation for one day or one moment, you know. But as I said, I just want to make sure I clarify what I was saying just now. The conversation of men being the head of the home never meant that a woman is not a leader in her own right.
Okay.
That is what some males in some churches and some spiritual organizations try to promote in their carnal mentality. They came on the podium and misrepresented the understanding and the context of that teaching. And that is why people have come to the point of hating that teaching, because they use it in an arbitrary way and abuse what was supposed be a very good thing, right? So if a man come into a family life and he decided that because he thinks he's the head of the family, he could be dictating to the family and it's my way or the highway and he don't want to listen to his wife. He don't want to hear the opinions of his children. You see what's going on there? It is not creating the unity and the togetherness that the family should have. So the woman now becomes repulsive of him, does not want to hear what he has to say because he doesn't care about nobody else. And then she cannot submit there. That's why we have this tug of war now between headship and submission. Because so many came and abused the idea of headship that it has become somewhat distasteful in the minds of many. But it was never meant to be a distasteful thing. It was meant for people, the family, to work in harmony. A man having a certain amount of strength in being a protector of the family. A man who is supposed to be spiritually grounded, to be praying for his family. A man who's supposed to be providing the needs of his family. If he does so in the way that he's supposed to, his woman will have no problem with leading out. If I am, as I said, I'm a woman, I'm a force to reckon with. But if it is,
I know that.
I am in a position where I don't have to feel like I am warring with my man. I am not going to be warring with my man. If I believe a man to totally love me and care about me and has my interest at heart, I would be very open to hearing what he has to say. And if I have to trust him with certain decisions, it's okay because I know he will be doing anything he's doing will be in my interest. So that is where headship comes in. It did not mean that he has to control everything. It simply means that he is in charge of protecting, providing, and leading his family in a spiritual way. That's what it really means. It doesn't mean that he should be good at everything, and therefore if he's not good at everything, he needs to trust who is good at the other things. So if he is not strong with finances, what you're trying to prove is a head and you're ruining the family finances. If your wife is good at that as a leader, you would know how to delegate responsibility. So you would know that is her strength, and if you put that in her hands, she will do the best for the family in that way. But what has happened is that some men decided they feel they're in charge and they should control everything. They got very abusive with the authority, and that is where the problem stems from. But every woman, don't care how strong, how independent a woman thinks. A woman shouldn't be independent. How are you able to think for yourself or function as a single woman if you don't have a sense of independence and you don't have an individual, thought? You have to have that. By developing that, you will also bring value to a family. Because when you get into that family and you have to make decisions from time to time on behalf of your family, you'll be able to think because you've been able to manage your own self prior to even getting in that family. So in some cases, there are women who function like, again, they have been indoctrinated to believe that submission is being stupid. I tell you the truth. and that's not what it means. And again, let us go back to the scripture. The scripture says, submit yourself to your own husband as it is fit in the Lord. Being submitted as it is fit in the Lord never meant being stupid. And I always say that's why I cannot read one part of scripture and use that as a general umbrella. Let's go to Proverbs 31 and talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. It says that she does not eat the bread of idleness. It says that she considers a steal and buy it if she's an investor. It says that she gets up while it's early and prepares meat or food for her family. It says that because of who she is, even people out of the gate, people in the city knows, respect her man just because of who she is. So the scripture puts context to everything. That's what I like about it. It never meant that the woman should be stupid. It never meant that the woman doesn't have her own strength. Whatever, it comes like, let's look at the male and female pieces when you're doing plumbing. Without the female pieces, the male pieces are literally nothing. And without the male pieces, the female pieces are literally nothing. So it was always supposed to be that the male and female were supposed to work in harmony for the ultimate good. But because of infiltration of evil and abuse and all manner of things that have come along the way, the family unit has become very destroyed. And as a result, it has led to other problems within the society. And that's why I went all the way back home. Now we're talking solutions a little bit here now. Because we identified some of the problems. Right? And like I say, there's nothing wrong with trying to work with men as a man. Work with men, and even women could work with men if they could add value. Because I have worked with some men before and showed them a bit about who they're supposed to be as a man. And I only given them it from a theoretical standpoint or what I expect to see in a healthy man as a woman. Right? But where the real emphasis should go into treating with the abuse is by us being able to identify, especially single home, where they're single parent home, where there are boys being raised by mothers alone. And we should have some healthy mentorship programs to assist those little boys with healthy men. And those men need to be well vetted before, because a lot of men out there, they're so sick in the time that we're living in, they're even looking at little boys in sexual type ways. It's crazy. So we need to look at healthy men who, could really make a mark in the life of the young man who does not have healthy male role models, because that will sort of, assist in standing in the gap where there is a lack. And while we're talking about little boys, we also have to talk about the girls, because if girls don't see healthy men, they don't know what to look for in a man, That is why a man in a home, a healthy man in a home, is so important. And we as women need to be very careful about who we choose. I cannot say that enough. Look at the man. Look at if he likes to protect. Look at if he likes to provide. Look at if he could communicate. Look at how if he could, if he really has that love in him. Because I'm one of those women who believe, and I was saying it a bit earlier, I believe that nobody can love as strong as a man. I don't care what nobody says. I believe men, I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, men does love a little strong, eh? Men does love a little strong, eh?
Not a little strong. Men love stronger than women.
Alright.
Whether we like
but,
it or not,
man does like respect. You know that kind of way? Man does like respect.
We all like respect. The society made respect a man thing. That's why you have men who can respect men, but they cannot respect women. But respect is not limited to no one gender. We should respect each other. Period. We should respect each other. When we can respect each other, everybody happy. That's just what it is. We need to stop now putting respect as something a man thing. As a woman, nothing is more important to me in this world than being respected. Nothing. Because if you don't respect me, I can expect anything from you. You will jump out yourself because you don't respect me. But if you respect me, you will think about what you're doing and how it's going to impact on me. And that in a sense itself is a sense of protection. But men are, I am telling you, it's a men out there who ain't getting no respect and they love real strong. So I don't think that is a criteria for men to love at all. Once a man chooses to love a woman, that way he choose. You might be trying to make sense of why he chooses to love she. You don't try to make sense out of that. In his mind, that's who he chooses to love, and that man will die for that woman. That's the truth. Women hardly will put themselves in front of a bullet to take for a man, but a man who genuinely loves a woman will take a bullet for a woman, right? So that I believe that men love stronger than women. We are maternal, and therefore we can care a lot. We can nurture in a way, in a softer way that men don't necessarily nurture. But men in their own right, they have their own way of nurturing. It's a bit more masculine, but it is still nurture. You know what I mean? When a woman gets a nice, strong, masculine, protective hug, it's everything. It's everything. It's just feeling like, boy, I stay here. You know what I mean?
You hit me the topic fast like a bullet. Because you know what I'm saying, what I mean by respect is this. The same how you say, sometimes you know, in the context of this, a man must respect a woman too. Woman must respect man. We need to respect one another within a certain format. Now, just the other day, I and my brother had this conversation. You understand? Where he was talking about, brother, you must learn to be considerate in terms where certain things is concerned. There are certain things that goes without question, go without say. So to say in the least, if I with a woman, I don't expect she to look for another man. Oh God, that is not my interpretation of love. I with you, you with me, we together. Anything outside and that, I mean, I accustomed to this monogamy kind of relationship. One man to one woman to one man. And in terms of that, I expect that when a woman go out, she representing me and I representing her when I go out too. So in the same sense, I don't expect you to do anything, you know, to disrespect me, to make me less. I don't expect you when you go outside, let me say, you and a man hug up in a corner, or you and a man having some kind of, nah, that is not what I consider. I consider a woman, you know, she must respect what a relationship is. And I believe in these times right about now, it have a lot of different type of relationship. I mean, I believe it's the song that changed in the culture, because I would listen to a song where a man say, you are your man, I am a girl too, and me and you together. And these kind of things. If that is something that you're comfortable with, find somebody who comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. The rules, my roots go back straight back to when I was like my grandparents. That is how I know it. Monogamy, me and you in this together, we like Bonnie and Clyde, we going down. And I expect you to represent me without even I saying, like, girl, I waited. Nah, it should not be like that. Certain things must be expected. And in terms of respect, that is why I consider. Now, if I doing some respect me to that, that is not something I do. That is not something I like. Respect me to that. And that is the context. You know, I wish to, you know, expound on a little bit.
Okay. Well, I totally understand what you're saying, but I still saying what I said. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. What it will determine whether or not you will get that out of a woman is your choice in a woman.
Yeah.
Likewise, is a woman's choice in a man will determine what she will get out of a man. That's what it boils down to. What happens in the culture, however, again, is a bit of damaged people who picking up people who expect people to know what they want and expect people to behave a particular way just because they like them. Because you like somebody, that's not going to determine their fundamental value system.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to really know a person's fundamental value system is by, again, being friends, getting to know them, knowing their background and culture, and seeing really and truly if it really could work with your culture. Mm-hmm. Because you and somebody could come up in the same community but be of two different cultures, depending on the type of household you all came up in. Mm-hmm. Right? So what will determine if your woman will be respectful to you is if you choose a respectful person and vice versa.
And vice versa. And Kerry, I know we went a little bit, well, not a little bit, girl. We went plenty much over the time. And
we are over time because it's a very hot topic. You know what I mean?
Real hot topic, because I see they coming at me. Don't comment at me. I see they comment at somebody, men and them now. So, you know, as a man, I defend them. None of them in here to defend themselves.
You think I'm coming at the men?
So,
I love men. I actually love men a lot. I just want to see men, you know, get the help that they need so they can really function within the element. Because to me, that is one of the most glorious things ever. When a man functioning within the right way element, to me that is the closest thing to God on earth. But when you have all these abusive people in the culture just walking around not knowing what to do with themselves, and then they're taking out all manner of evil behaviors on women, they don't know how to defend women from other men unless they're doing it in a very dreadful way now that might result in the loss of life and all these manner of things, and then they're taking out, they're using the sexual psychosexuality on females in the workplace. These are you functioning under the demonic spirit. So I want to see men really become the better versions of themselves, because that is what will ultimately help the issue of women who's going through all this abuse.
Mm-hmm.
If men function within the right spirit and element that they're supposed to function in. And I have a very great concern as it relates to little boys, because you see, the little boys of today will become the men of tomorrow, and that is who the little girls of today will have to deal with tomorrow.
Okay.
So I want to make sure and say, because every time as a woman you speak and you constructively criticize certain things and you highlight certain issues, you tend to be labeled as a man hater in the culture, because we're not open necessarily to constructive criticism.
Uh-huh.
We want to hear only rainbows and butterflies. But even as a woman, I question my own self, I do introspection, and I also chastise women who are not functioning in the element.
Okay.
I do. So it's not that we're talking about men today and the abuse women are faced with men. But if we start to talk about the issue of women and what's happening with women, I would go in on the issues just as hard. But most importantly, I try to always talk about the solution, not just the pinpointing problems, but looking for the solution. A lot of our women need growth, and again, it goes back to the household they came up in. They don't know how to be women. They don't know how to be healthy women. Look at our women walk the streets with all their body parts outside, thinking that's being liberated, as opposed to understanding how precious they are, and that's why they need to protect themselves. It does not qualify pervert men being perverse. Don't get me wrong. A woman should be able to be naked, and if you're a healthy man, knowing how to respect a woman, you're going to respect that naked woman. That doesn't qualify you getting physical with that woman. It have mentally challenged women who get up a day and just walk the road naked. Doesn't mean that men in the road should be trying to have sexual intercourse with that woman. No. That does not qualify. However, women, I do believe we need more women who understand how precious they are and start valuing themselves a bit more and carry themselves in a more dignified way in the culture. And the reason why they carry themselves right now how they do, it stems from abuse and being sexualized, and they don't even realize it. They don't even realize it. So the same validation that they're looking for is what the same abuse that they went through is the validation they're looking for.
Carry on. You know, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole right about now, because you say some
That's a whole other topic.
I'm biting my lip, because I would have known about the marshmallow test with little children, right? Where it is, there are certain people that do not know how to withhold immediate pleasures for long-term gain, and that would have stemmed from childhood. Now, it was a series of tests in which they run. Anybody interested in it could type up the marshmallow test on YouTube. Now, there are certain people that don't know how to withhold the short-term gain for the long-term pleasure. And where it is you find an individual would have been going down that trend. Now, when he would have seen a naked female, like in that example, which is the quintessential example, as a matter of fact, relating to this point, and he would have tried to have some kind of sexual encounter with her, which will inevitably, lead to some kind of force. It's because that he's seeing something that he unable to resist. That is something to deal with the psyche. You understand what I'm saying? So it has happened with finances. There are certain people that don't know how to pass aside, let me say, $100 a week from their finances, and they want to spend out all for this immediate gain at this point in time, and they end up spending all the money. So it has some of them that had to take loans in order to save. I imagine that. I bounce up people that saying that they take loan, and it come back to that. I believe it was Richard Kahneman would have write a whole book about that, concerning that would have been fast and slow. As I was saying, this is something that we could go into, a serious topic, I want to invite you, and next time I don't want you to run off the line. I invite you.
Yes, that's a very deep topic. But thanks for having me, and I mean, I appreciate it. And I don't feel like, this should be the end. Well, I know you said it's a series, but hopefully we had some thought-provoking conversation that will have, manifest into people within their households having these conversations, looking at their behaviors and so on, and, especially single mothers, please, if you all have sons, get positive role models, male role models for your sons to see. Get positive male role models. Put them in programs with have healthy men so that they can see another man, a healthy man. Because when a young boy grows up seeing only his mother and his mother fighting up with everything, his mother providing, his mother trying to protect, he thinks that is how a natural woman is supposed to be. Right, true. And he does not know some of the roles that his mother is performing. It was really his father supposed to be performing that. And then he grows up kind of retarded, I have to say it, socially, emotionally retarded, because he gets into a relationship expecting women to be like his mom, which was not the actual, the healthiest version of a woman. I know men who, because they're women making some money, they feel they should not be providers. Why is that? Because they would have seen their mom be providers right through, and they without context, without teaching, without understanding that I am only doing all this because I have no other choice. So they grow up into thinking that this is how it's supposed to be. And that's why we need healthy male role models for boys who could exude healthy masculinity. Because that is the main reason for the problems. Women that are in abusive situations, I implore you to seek out help in how you can get out of those abusive situations. It is not healthy for your sons or your daughters to see. They are going to be the next set of abusers in the next generation. Try to get out of those situations as fast as possible. We need to plead with people, and we need more organizations that are looking into these issues. Something that I noticed, and I want to say this quickly before I leave Renaissance, is that there are hostels for women who go into abuse and certain things where they could go to get those places to seek out a place to stay or as a place of refuge until they get themselves together and they can get a place of their own. But one of the things that I noticed about those hostels is a lot of them don't want to take women who have children. Which thought in my mind defeats the purpose of protecting women. Because it means you are saying that if a woman is living in an abusive situation, she has to leave her children there or find somebody else to keep her children who might be very well abusive to her children. So this is something I think we need to lobby for, where they are more inclusive for women who have children when it comes to these shelters and hostels that are supposed to be for women who are going through abuse. So that's what I want to see. So thanks a lot for having me. I'll leave you to have the last couple words that I have to run. But definitely I'm looking forward to being continuing the conversation.
Well, no problem. Well, thanks very much, Miss John. You tell me, call you Mrs. is good. All right then. Well, thanks very much for going on. And as I said before, I go like it to go on tape. I would have misjudged you before, but this is something that surprised me and very, very, very informative discussion. Thanks again.
Yeah. Okay, take care.
Yeah, you too. And people, this is something in which we're trying to get inside our head some of the times. When you see a man getting on in a particular way with a woman, something wrong with him. And we urge the men and them that ought to say something, speak out on the fact. We urge the women and them who in authority that seeing this fellow getting on with that woman in that particular way, say something. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. Like, share, and subscribe. This is the first of many. And with that, out.